Hello, I am Joe Jordan, and today I will be reviewing the Stansport 1200 lumens LED lantern. This is a fairly good sized lantern. So if you are looking at a lantern like this, you are probably looking to replace a lantern that is somewhat like this. This is an old Coleman double mantle lantern with a propane tank. And these lanterns are kind of cumbersome because you deal with glass globes, you deal with mantles, you deal with propane tanks, and you also deal with lighting these up every time you go out. And having an option, it's an LED option with D-cell batteries would be a lot easier to work with. So I'm going to read what this says on the box. It says state-of-the-art LED technology. All right. Supercharged 1200 lantern, lumen lantern. Excuse me. So it is 3 light modes. You've got low, high, and a strobe mode. It takes 6D batteries, which is kind of a massive amount of batteries, and they are pretty heavy. It says it is water resistant. I don't imagine that you want to submerge this lantern in the water, so I am not going to do that. But it's my hope that if you get it wet, it will resist some water. Now, the size on this lantern, 4.75 inches by 11.5 inches high. So it is a good size lantern. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of the box right here, and I'm going to show you the lantern. Now, when you have this lantern here, it's got a nice metal handle on the top. So that's similar to your old Coleman lanterns that you're probably looking to replace. And this lantern handle is kind of curved so that when you put it down, it rests right on the back of the lantern. I like that. It seems to be like a clip-in design, so similar to your old Coleman lanterns. So nothing too spectacular there. Now, without the batteries in it, this lantern is pretty light. Now, there haven't been any reviews done on this lantern that I can find anywhere. But there are some similar lanterns out there that sell for about 2 to 3 times as much. And they have some complaints about those lanterns, and they say that putting the batteries in is kind of difficult. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to load this lantern up with some batteries. Now, when I load it up, I'm going to show you the process of loading it up with batteries. I'm going to turn it on, show you how bright it is, and then I am going to go outside into the darkness, and I am going to compare this lantern to a good old-fashioned Coleman lantern. Because if you're looking at a lantern this big, which is basically the same size as a Coleman, you're probably looking to replace that Coleman lantern. So, here we go. First thing up is taking the bottom off. That's where the batteries are. And opening it up. So you just kind of twist it open, shake it a little bit, kind of opens up. And you can see there is a lot of room for a lot of batteries. Now, one of the things that I noticed on the side of the box is they say in low mode, this lantern will run for 240 hours. And in its high setting, it should run for 96 hours. Now, LEDs use a lot less power, and with that many batteries, you should be able to run it for quite a while. So let's load this up with some batteries, see how difficult or easy it is, and then we're going to start it up. With these batteries, I've got some Rayovacs. And this is one consideration with buying a lantern like this, is if you need 6 batteries every time, how much do you pay for each battery? And the lowest price that I was able to find at one of the big box home improvement stores was about $1 a piece on these batteries. So it's going to cost you $6 roughly in order to fill this up with batteries. And if you kind of compare that to the old Coleman, a propane tank is going to cost you around $3.50, maybe $4. Then you also have to include the price of your mantles that you'll go through about every other fishing trip. So those mantles will cost about $2 there every other trip. So you just kind of have to compare apples to apples and apples to oranges and see which is actually better for you, whether it's better to go with the Coleman or it's better to go with the battery operated lantern, which price suits you best and which one is more convenient for you. Now, when I'm looking at this, I see that you have to stagger these batteries. So, see, there goes one, and the next battery will go the opposite way. And then alternate again, and alternate again. Or am I alternating the wrong way? Let's see. No. There we go. All right. Now, with the other lanterns, some folks complain about the process of putting the batteries in. And I could see how it could kind of get complicated with switching these batteries around, because you have to kind of switch them around as you put them in. And let's see, that one right, and that one right, and then that one's wrong right there. So yeah, it's a little bit of a process getting these batteries in right here. You got to kind of pay attention to what you're doing with all these batteries. And this is a good thing, that you kind of see me struggling with these batteries, trying to get them in right. And in terms of a review, maybe that's something that you think about. Like, okay, let's see. Is that something that I'm going to deal with when I get a hold of this lantern? And is it something that's worth dealing with? Alright. Let's see if I have these batteries in straight. That last one should be correct. Alright, so they're all alternated around. Now, with other models of this lantern, because there's no reviews on this one, but there are other ones that are similar. And one of the complaints that I've seen is that with this base, it rotates and it's kind of difficult to get it on. So, right away, my hint to you would be to look at this. It's kind of a slot, and there's kind of a stem. You kind of have to line those up as you put it in, and push it down and twist it. Alright, so I pushed it down and twisted it. And did I get those batteries in correctly? Alright, one of the things that this lantern has, and it could be considered a good thing, could be considered a bad thing. Just depends on how you look at it. Is when the batteries are in, this lantern has a flashing green on and off light. And I have read that it's designed to help you find the lantern in the dark. So if you're in a dark place, there's no light, this will flash every few seconds. Now, it is not something that you seem to be able to turn off. The only way you can get that to turn off is just to take all the batteries out. And of course, with it coming on every few seconds, it would tend to drain some power after a while. I don't know how much. So that is something that you want to think about, that this flashing light will be on, and it'll stay on as long as you have the batteries in. Now, next thing I am going to look at before I turn it on is kind of the construction of the lantern. And this lantern is fairly heavy once you put all of the D-cell batteries in. It's easily as heavy as your old Coleman double mantle lantern. So easily as heavy as that with all the batteries in it. One of the things I kind of like about this lantern is they put quite a bit of rubber on areas where you might drop it to help protect it. So it does seem like a fairly good construction. You got lots of rubber around it. You got a good handle on the top. One of the things that I like over an old Coleman lantern is that this is plastic. You don't have that glass globe. It's very, very fragile. No, it seems like it's pretty decent construction. However, I don't necessarily like the way the battery compartment goes back on. I feel that it could be a little tighter. I do. I feel that it could be a little tighter. Now, here we go. So, handles up and rubber on the bottom. They do put something on the bottom right there where you can attach a rope, hang it upside down if you need to hang it upside down. Now, one of the features that I've noticed about this lantern is that you can take the top off. Half turn, you can take the top off, and right there you can see the light bulb. And it is a Cree 1200 lumens light bulb. It's actually not very big. The lantern's pretty big, but the light bulb's really not that big. And what they say is that you can hang this lantern upside down and take the lantern cover off and get a little more light out of it if you need to. So one of the things that concerns me about doing that is this battery compartment, where the little hold space would be, isn't the tightest in the world. So I might be concerned that holding this up and tying a rope to it, that could kind of wiggle loose and you could just break your whole lantern that way. So kind of wary about that battery compartment right there. That's something that I might be concerned about. It's just not really tight. All right. But other than that, it does seem like pretty good construction. So I'm going to put this back on, and then it goes on pretty tight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the settings. So you're going to get a chance to see how bright it is, and then I'm going to compare that outside to the old Coleman lantern. I'm going to light up that Coleman lantern and put them side by side and let you see how bright it is. Now, before we do that, we're going to talk lumens. And lumens are what they use to measure how bright a light is. Now, I have checked around to see how many lumens a Coleman lantern is. And a double mantle Coleman lantern is about 970 lumens. And this lantern right here is 1200 lumens. So it should be noticeably brighter than a Coleman lantern. But LED technology and the light that it puts out is different than the old propane light that's put out by a Coleman lantern. So we're going to kind of determine what's best. Because I know a lot of you are looking to get rid of your old Coleman lanterns, your propane lanterns. So I'm going to see if this is a good option for you. All right. So here's the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the button. Whoa, that's pretty bright. And I don't know if you can still see me. So you hit the button one time, and that is a lower setting. And I can't tell you how many lumens that is. That shouldn't be the full 1200 lumens. And they say do not look directly at these lanterns. All right, now I'm going to hit that button again. Boom. And it's really bright. So I don't know if you can still see my face or not. That's 1200 lumens right there. That is, yeah, that is bright. I need a pair of sunglasses right now. That is definitely a bright lantern. All right, is it as bright as a Coleman lantern? I don't know. I don't know. We're going to put them side by side and we're going to see. All right, now, third option is a flashing option, and that's like an SOS kind of beacon that they give you. And you know, one of those options is never that useful until you get an emergency and you need it, and then it's there if you need it. So really got two settings and then the emergency setting. So there we go. I'm kind of blinded by the light, and so I kind of see it. This is pretty good construction on the lantern. Now here is another thing that I'll go into. Price. There is a comparable lantern out there. It sells for 2 to 3 times as much as the Stansport sells for. And so this lantern, I purchased this lantern for right around $25. And $25 is a good price. It's definitely, if you're looking at a lantern, $25, that's not too much. And if you can, you know, get your $25 out of this lantern, looking at it, you know, I don't feel like that's a bad buy at all. Definitely don't feel like that's a bad buy. So there we go. There's the lantern, pretty sturdy handle. Kind of like it, kind of like it. Don't necessarily like that base on it. And twist on, twist off. Lots of rubber on it. Nice heavy lantern. It's definitely heavy. This is not a lantern that you would use like as a camper, and you're gonna want it to be portable. You know, this is one of those lanterns that you're replacing that old Coleman lantern with. This is one that you keep around the house, or you keep in the RV, someplace where you don't have to carry it with all those batteries. It's heavy. All right, so there we go. Right there. I'm going to set that down, and I'm going to get ready to go outside into the darkness. I'm going to light up this Coleman lantern. We're going to put them side by side, and we're going to see if this 1200 lumens in LED technology beats 970 with the old propane Coleman lantern. Okay, I'm out in the darkness and I've got the two lanterns. Now, you know, with the old Coleman lantern, you have to go through the process of lighting it up. I just lit it up. You know what that process is like. LED lantern, just hit the button a couple of times. So I want to just put these side by side. Now, I do have a light in the background that is on right now, so I could kind of, you know, tell you what's going on. and then I am going to turn that light off. I am kind of behind my garage right now, and it's completely dark outside, so there is some light kind of in the background from other houses, but mostly pretty dark out here. So just with the camera lights on, here goes the Coleman lantern right here. And of course, one of the things about a Coleman lantern is safety. And you got a lot of heat that's coming out. Sometimes that's good if you need to warm your hands up on a cold night, but if you have children around the lantern, then it's a bad thing. So sometimes if you're fishing, when you're fishing, you hang that lantern, bugs hit the lantern, they fall in the water, minnows show up and eat the bugs, and be a good thing. So sometimes the heat isn't always bad. It just depends if you are, you know, in an RV or if you're in a tent. You know, maybe that heat isn't a good thing. If there are children around the lantern, maybe it's not a good thing. LED might be a better option. Now, let me grab the LED lantern. So, here we go. Nice and cool. Just lots of batteries, very bright. It's a different light. It is. It's kind of a different light. This one is brighter. This is kind of a duller light. They're just a little different. So you kind of look and see what suits your needs the most, and if you can use something like this for around $25 to replace something like this. All right, so holding them both up, and what we are going to do is we're going to turn our camera light off that's behind the camera, and we're just going to let you look at what's going on here. So that light is going to go off in just about a few seconds here. It's dimming, and there we go. So we're out in the darkness. We've got our two lights. You decide, make up your mind. There's the Coleman propane double mantle lantern. There's the LED lantern. They both put out light. It's a different type of light. Which is the better option for you? You decide. Now, in my opinion, when I decide, I'm looking at this LED lantern right here. I'm looking at the old Coleman lantern, and given the choice, I think I may grab the LED lantern. It's just as bright, a little different, no heat, but definitely a lot easier to deal with. So I don't have to deal with the propane tanks, keeping them separate, the mantles, the whole process of lighting it up, waiting for it to cool down. Also not going to get heat out of that, you know. So, hey, that's kind of the trade-off. Am I going to throw away my old propane lantern? I don't think I'm throwing it away. I'm going to keep it. But am I more likely to pick up this lantern than my propane lantern and use it? I would definitely say so. If you see one of these Stansport lanterns, I've seen them as low as $21 and as high as around $35. That price may fluctuate. But yeah, definitely a good choice. I'm going to switch up here so you get a chance to kind of see 970 lumens versus 1200 LED lumens. Okay, now this is kind of an aside. One of the things that I didn't do is show the lantern, the LED lantern, on its lowest setting. So here's that Coleman lantern, and not everyone needs the highest setting. When I'm out fishing at night, I want the highest setting because I can hang this lantern over the water and attract a lot of fish. The more power I have, more power I have to attract fish. But if you just need something to light up a room, all right, there is the lowest setting, there's the highest setting, there's the strobe and off, and there's the lowest setting again. So we'll compare the Coleman to the LED at the lowest of the two settings. So there you go. At the lowest of the two settings. And then pump it up. And there's the highest. So if you just need a little bit of light, I'm going to set that down there. If you just need a little bit of light, that's still pretty substantial, but less if you need it. All right. Hope you like the review. Definitely looks a little brighter to me. I hope you like the review. Check out some of my other shows. You will like those. And I will see you next time on the water.